Wednesday night, pre-Christmas live stream, December 20th, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you all, especially the ones that are turning in on my live stream. All right, we'll talk about the butcher in a second. Got these picture discs I showed before. The only couple times that they ever released the negatives of the butcher cover was this one time in 1986 in the United Kingdom. They did a picture disc of Paperback Writer and Rain. That's from the promo video for Rain. If you notice, Paul, he's got his mouth closed. He has a couple teeth missing from I think it was a motorcycle accident. The other picture disc that I got at that Crab Orchard, Tennessee estate from a serious Beatles collector in Florida was this Yellow Submarine and Eleanor Rigby. One of the last ones I did, Something. It's a picture of John Lennon's estate, and has come together on the B-side. The Ballad of John and Yoko, An Old Brown Shoe. That's the last day that all four Beatles were photoed together. The Ballad of John and Yoko was the last time John and Paul ever were in the studio, head to head, recording together. They were the only two on the track. Got Get Back with Don't Let Me Down, picture from them on the Apple roof of January, I think it's 29th, 1969. Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane, their baby photos. There's another version of this where it's much bigger. It's a lot rarer than this one here. I Feel Fine, where they got the doing the different seasons, and She's a Woman. And got two more, Help, with the backside of I'm Down, the tribute, Paul McCartney's little tribute to Little Richard. And Hello, Goodbye, back with I Am the Walrus. There they are, dressed up in their animal outfits for Magical Mystery Tour. Rolling Stones, got this in yesterday. This is a 1972 Unipack cover of Exile on Main Street, the original inner sleeves. I don't have the postcards, but what's nice about this one, unplayed, pretty much records with MO on the bottom, Monarch Records in LA, where the master tapes were mixed. So this is the best audiophile pressing you can ever get of Exile on Main Street with the Artesian logo in the dead wax. It's right there. It's hard to see. That's the one you want to get if you want to hear Exile in its full glory. This pressing will knock your socks off, especially Sweet Virginia, first track on side 2. And first track on side 1, Rocks Off. It will rock you to your core. Rolling Stones, when they had Mick Taylor in the band, and they were on fire. A little more about the Rolling Stones. I watched the new video. I like Angry a lot. This is the Blu-ray Atmos sealed version of Hackney Diamonds with that lenticular cover. But I liked Angry a lot when it first came out. I wasn't too big a fan of Sweet Sounds of Heaven. Bite My Head Off was pretty neat just because Paul McCartney's playing the bass in the middle of it. But the two tracks they've come out lately, The Whole Wide World, and the other one that they got a new video of, Mess It Up, with a couple of young actors. They really sound good. But my take on The Whole Wide World, they say that's a live track from that Racket Club in New York. I think it's been sweetened to death. And it sounds so much different if you if you watch the raw video of them performing at the Racket Club. The new version sounds like 40-year-olds in a band. I mean, they were just red hot in that sound of that video. I don't know if they're not playing the guitars or somebody's replacing Keith Richards, but wow. That technology on that new track takes it to a whole new level. I mean, the old days they did that a little bit with Peter Frampton and Paul McCartney and Wings, where they sweetened it up a little bit after the live show, but they were at their peak, and so they even the Beatles at Shea Stadium, they re-recorded some of the tracks, but it was from the same time period. But this Whole Wild World sounds like it's a new young band, and the Mick Jagger vocals are so much better on the new track, and the backing vocals. It just seems to me like they've gone in and completely reconstructed the sound. That's my opinion. Tell me what yours is. We got some people. Nobody's any questions?
No, not right now. Yeah, let's take the time.
This is that anthology. I'll show it one more time. From 1996. Was sent to retail stores only. Was made to look like a stack of old Beatle albums, mostly from the United States. Says Capital down on most of them. There's a couple of UKs in the middle of it. Got a yellow submarine from the United Kingdom. But they just kind of haphazardly took somebody's Beatle collection and took pictures of it from every angle. And that's what the box made to look like. Then you open it up, it says the music, just half the story, because they're promoting the 10-hour long video that came out. The VHS, 8 VHS tape, that was, I think that was close to 9 hours. And then when the DVD came out, they added another half hour or hour. So it was 10 hours. But this has a sealed VHS tape of the sneak preview that the record stores, retail stores were supposed to play to promote the anthology video. And it's got the complete binder with all the information when the anthology video was coming out. And to begin with, these sold for like $150 in the stores. And now you can buy, there's so many left over, you can buy these sealed for not much more than $25 or $30. They must have made a ton of them. But they even have some sheets here that's promoting the Laserdisc version that was coming out. I've had the Laserdisc version before. I sold a sealed one from that Tennessee estate.
What do you want next?
You can put it down there, doesn't matter. Show this frame one more time that I sold the other frame with the Klaus Vormann print, signed print. This is the anthology, promoting the anthology one, the featuring Free as a Bird, the first new Beatles song in 25 years. Has a sheet music to Freeze the Bird behind it. I've had a couple people interested, but it still hasn't sold. $125 is the price on it on my STICKERMANIA 2853 eBay store. Kevin Records from here in Louisville, Kentucky gave me a few things to showcase today. This isn't Beatles related, but you might be interested in it. These are signed by Stevie Ray Vaughan in pencil at the bottom from his 1987 tour when he toured with Greg Allman. There's Greg Allman from that tour. And Stevie Ray Vaughan wrote on this one, John, a brother for a brother, Stevie Ray Vaughan. I haven't figured out who the photographer is yet. It might be a Walt Casey. I think I wrote that name down.
Yeah, that was one of them you had written down.
And on this one, Stevie Ray wrote to Sean, remember always to rave on, Stevie Ray Vaughan. One more. That is Stevie Ray Vaughan with his SRV. He wrote, Sean, keep the music playing. Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's in pencil. He just writes a real quick SRV as his autograph. Nice, large prints. It would look nice in a big professional frame. And Kevin went through a whole collection the other day here in Louisville.
Hold on, Dan Johnson, those SRV photos are amazing.
All right. Kevin told me they're worth around $500 a piece. I'm going to put the first one up here tomorrow, if you're interested. These are was found. Somebody stored their music collection away for 50 years, and these are all pretty much in perfect condition. This is a hit parader from late 1967, and it's got the monkeys dressed up on the cover. Well, it's got Peter Tork, Leslie Gore, looks like Annette Funicello, and I can't tell. It looks like the guy who sang 96 Tears right there. It's got different heads on the Sgt. Pepper, and a lot of other people from that time period. Freddie from Freddie and the Dreamers, Dick Clark. Strange photo though. Get hit parader instead of measles, what it says there. But these are it's in perfect condition. We'll be putting this up tomorrow. It's got Frank Zappa advertising there right when you open it up. He's advertising a certain kind of guitar. Got a couple articles on the Herman Hermits and the Beatles and the Monkees inside here. It's got a whole article I haven't read yet about what you need to know about Sgt. Pepper. See if I can find that quickly. There's another ad for Frank Zappa in here. Herman Hermits must have been big at the time. They have articles in every one of these magazines. A few words on Sgt. Pepper. This was about 4 months after the album had been released. And this is from May 1966. This could be the first hit parader that ever came out because it says now monthly hit parader. It says Beatles. It's got the Kinks in here and Elvis Presley with his mob, Dylan, the Animals, Tom Jones, the Beach Boys. But another magazine that's in perfect condition from 55 years ago. Unbelievable. The Beatles answered 21 ridiculous questions. I don't know if they actually answered it, but they got these questions in here. Did you ever wear a tie? Yes, whenever I can find it. That's what John Lennon supposedly said. He had some rock and roll magazines. What's neat about this? This is an early 1962, before the Beatles hit, with Anne Margaret and Dion on the cover. And all the rest of these were after the Beatles hit. That's from July of 1964. With I Want to Hold Your Hand, She Loves You, Please Please Me, From Me to You, My Bonnie. I Saw Her Standing There. The Beatles were all over these songs. They were even pushing My Bonnie a lot, because anything that had the Beatles on it, America wanted to hear it. The Future of the Beatles. These are just in beautiful condition. No aging, no yellowing. But the original owner wrote his name on a few of these. Jerry Miller. It's got Meet Shindig's Bobby Sherman. If you watched Shindig and Hullabaloo back then. Song hits with the Beatles on the cover. Beatles songs on this one. It just says 6 new Beatle hits. Set Me Free by the Kinks. I'm Henry VIII by Herman Hermits. Mick Jagger on the cover from July 1967. Penny Lane, On a Carousel. I Think We're Alone Now, 1967. The Summer of Love. And this one is a later one. It's the last rock and roll one I got. It has God Only Knows. November 1966. Summer in the City, God Only Knows, Friday's Child, Lady Jane, Mother's Little Helper. And these came out in the like 64 and 65. Best songs. They mostly were just pushing the Beatles. Read what Shindig's Jack Good has to say about the Beatles. Ringo Falls. He's talking about falling for Maureen Cox, the hairdresser he married. He met her when she was really young. This is a Beatle, baby Beatle. Couple more. Just beautiful condition. I've never had them in this kind of condition before. The Beatles and the Dave Clark 5 going head to head. The Golden Beatles. This was all songbook all on the Beatles, and it has information on their tours in the middle of it. That's all about the Help movie. And then it has the Beatles August 1964 tour and the Beatles August 1965 tour. All the cities they went to. Went to Cincinnati. They flew all around the United States. They didn't kind of chronologically do it in order, because they did Cincinnati early and then they did Indianapolis about a week later, which is only a couple hours away from Cincinnati, the two towns I'm close to. Some more hit paraders, beautiful condition. Eric Burdon, The Doors. Anytime you have a hit parader that has The Doors or Jimi Hendrix on it, they're more valuable. I guess they love the legend of Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix. There must be an article about The Doors in that one. The cream on top. Is Jimi Hendrix as rough as he looks? Anything really happening in Boston? The rock revolution is a drag. That's from July of 1968. That's when Hendrix was definitely on fire. 1969, October, interview with Ringo. Picture from like the White Album photo. Later ones, 1971, Janis, the Beatles, Chicago, Santana, Elton John was coming on, Hendrix, that's after he passed, Creedence, Clearwater Revival. And then into a couple later ones, have the Rolling Stones on the cover, Winter 74, 75, with their picture of It's Only Rock and Roll promo video and young Mick Taylor in the group. And this one's from 77 with Rolling Stones Love You Live, exclusive Jagger interview with Lisa Robinson. Led Zeppelin, More Road Adventures. I have to read that.
So, Caesar G, hi, any OG UK mono Sgt. Pepper's available?
No, I sold, last one I sold was a mono, sold for 200. I don't have one at the moment. They're hard to get, in real nice shape. Sgt. Pepper, I was gonna say something about Sgt. Pepper. Can't remember what it was. All right, talk about a BC-13 I just got in today. 1982 BC-13 from the United Kingdom. This is kind of the last of the stereo audiophile pressings. Was around 82. But these are all perfect shape. They usually have edge wear from sliding around in the box, but these don't have any edge wear on them at all. And all the records appear to be unplayed. Most of the times when you buy a Beatles BC-13, it doesn't have much play wear. A lot of these have Harry T. Moss recuts with less bass roll off, and they really sound great on the new stereo systems of today. The White Album, got all the inserts with it. And good old Sgt. Pepper they're talking about. It's an audiophile pressing of Sgt. Pepper. Let's see what the date is on the inner sleeve. Got November of 82 when this was pulled from the inventory in the United Kingdom. It's got -1, side 2, HTM -1 on side 1. Be putting this up tomorrow on my STICKERMANIA 2853 eBay store. I think we're ready to talk about the butcher covers for a second. Talk about the picture disc. Got my backbeat poster up back here from the 1994. And this is a promo kit. I've showed it one time before. Had somebody interested in this, but they didn't offer me enough for this whole promo kit. I met Greg Dooley before when I advertised on 97X in Oxford, Ohio. Greg Dooley was in the backbeat band. He did most of the vocals. With Don Fleming, Dave Grohl did the drums, Mike Mills from REM, Thurston Moore did guitar, and Dave Purnell, can't say his name right, he's from Soul Asylum, he did vocals also. Greg Dooley used to comment on how funny my commercials were on 97X. It's got the CD or the cassette promo use, not for resale. It's got electronic press kit on VHS tape for the movie, approximately 45 minutes, but it's PAL, so that means it was probably, it only could be played in England. So I guess this kit came from England. And it's got the CD promo, not for resale, 1994. But that's pretty rare to have the promo kits promoting the movie. All right, butcher cover time. Got another butcher cover in today that's peeled. This is a West Coast with a near mint peel. I can't see anything that's been touched up. There's just a few wrinkles. I mean, real small ones. Right there's one, and a few stress marks right down there. But beautiful condition of a West Coast. And you notice how the West Coast has a little bit different tint than the East Coast covers. The East Coast had a little purple hue added to it, where this is more realistic. Picture of the Beatles on the West Coast from Los Angeles. And you can see the space underneath the bench under John Lennon where he's sitting. That's a number 6 on the back, made from Los Angeles. What's remarkable about this one, it's got a trunk slick. Jim Hansen did this peel from Texas, and he knows how to do these West Coast peels. And he looks like he had a big shipping tape on this for a couple days, and then he just pulled the trunk slick off in all one piece before he did the rest of the peel. That's pretty remarkable, that trunk slick come off like that in one piece. It matches up perfectly with the cover, because you know they've been trimmed 3/16 of an inch, so the factories knew which ones the butcher cover was underneath for inventory purposes. That's just a little copy of an expensive magazine from the United Kingdom that showed an outtake of the butcher cover photos. They weren't too smiling there like they were on the actual photo. It's got the West Coast pressing record mono with the big 1. No, that's got the East Coast one. I must have the wrong record with that. That doesn't make sense. But I have a West Coast pressing one. Must be in the other room. And the original goldenrod inner sleeve from 1966 that you want to have with that. Any questions about the butcher cover?
Everybody's quiet tonight.
Somebody wanted me to give him a good price on the Paul McCartney signed, what's it called, 1964, Eyes of the Storm. And that I have sealed, that I got from Perry Cox and with a COA, and I gave him an offer of $7,999, and he said, ha, like that was a joke or something, but I was dead serious. So that ain't gonna happen. Talked about the Rolling Stones, we talked about the new items. A little bit about Christmas records. I said, I think in my last video live stream that I wasn't always a big fan of Happy Christmas, the War Is Over, but I heard a version on a 91.9 Louisville Music public radio today by Calamexico, I think that's a band, and boy, they killed it they did a great job of Happy Christmas, War Is Over. You can really hear the lyrics so much better, and it is a great song that John Lennon wrote for the world. They're playing that and Wonderful Christmas Time, about 5 different versions of each on our music system at the store, Muzak. There's some great versions of Wonderful Christmas Time out there. This one's on red vinyl, and this John Lennon's on green vinyl. Haven't sold those yet. I sold most of my other. I sold a Beatles Christmas album. I think went out in the mail yesterday. The Fan Club from 1970. I sold that twice in the last month. And we talked about the Ringo Starr Christmas album. Haven't sold that yet. I Want to Be Santa Claus. A little bit of Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 2, the original cover has the gold record award, the matte cover, not the glossy cover. That's the way it originally came out. Yesterday though, I got one coming in that's in the shrink. It's got a hype sticker for A Whole Lot of Love up here and a hype sticker for the titles on the back. Now all I need to find is an excellent pressing of the Robert Ludwig from either a PR Presswell or a Monarch MO, and then I'll have a package worth over $1,500 to $2,000. That's the original inner sleeve you want to have with that from the 1969. It has Atlantic on one side, and I guess this has Atlantic. I've seen them before where they have Atco on one side. Got Aretha Franklin's the first one they showed there in the Rascals. But this record is not a Robert Ludwig. It's a second pressing where it's toned down and the bass doesn't have as much bass grooves and stuff, so you can see more dead wax on side too. That's how you know you don't have the Robert Ludwig hot mix. Supposedly they made 200,000 of the hot mix, but most of them have been played to death. To find one that's hardly been played is near impossible now. Alright, let's move along. Where are we at in time? 30 minutes or something?
Mm-hmm. We want posters or something?
Yeah, I'll show some posters.
Which one do you want? The big one?
Yeah, there's interest in the Sgt. Pepper. There's the Beatles at Brian Epstein's premiere party a couple weeks before Sgt. Pepper was released. And Paul and John.
Or let it down a little maybe because you can't see the top of it that good.
And John and Paul are definitely into this, and Ringo and George are kind of bored to death. But that was Paul's baby, that Sgt. Pepper. But they thought the Beatles were passe and they were done because it took like 6 months to record this, and then when it came out, Monkeys were #1 on the charts with Headquarters, and then Sgt. Pepper within 2 weeks was #1 for like 9 weeks in a row. This is a, doesn't say if it's a mono or stereo pressing, can't tell there. That's a pretty nice poster. They're showing the band on the road a lot. Show this one more time for the great indie rock and roll auction of like 3 weeks ago. And I won this, and this is the first pressing from late 1961 of My Bonnie. It says My Bonnie, the Beatles. No, it says Tony Sheridan and the Beat Brothers. And it's the one with the German intro. And this is the one you want to get, because when somebody went into Brian Epstein's record store and said they wanted My Bonnie, he said his name was Raymond Jones. Then they changed the pressing where it had an English introduction, and it's not worth as much as the first pressing. So that's the first commercial record in the world that ever had the Beatles on it, right there. Stock copy. Polydor, late 1961. That's a picture from about the same time with Pete Best as the drummer. George must have been about 17 right there at the most. Maybe he was 18. John was the oldest in the group until Ringo Starr joined him. Paul looks a little sad there. So we like the Stevie Ray Vaughan. I guess we'll show these prints one more time. So this is from, I said, was 1987, I think I said. The year that he toured with Greg Allman. And I thought that I said this was Wayne Casey, that was a photographer. Kevin, my buddy, said that the photographer was didn't get paid for being on the photographer for this tour, but they said he could tour with him and take all the photos he wanted to. So he took some great photos and then he sold these prints to get some money for his effort. But Stevie Ray Vaughan signed all of them with this SRV. And Greg Allman at the keyboards. I think he opened up and then they played some songs together. Greg Allman and Stevie Ray Vaughan. And this one, I guess, is Stevie Ray Vaughan, but it almost looks like it's Dire Straits or something with that psychedelic headband. You can see his teeth and something glowing on his head. But it's got the SRV right there on the guitar. He says, "Keep the music playing." Stevie Ray Vaughan. The red and the blue. Showed my record player. I have some people interested in this, my symphonic 1960s record player that somebody painstakingly turned it into a Beatles record player at the time. They took a copy of the original slick that was on the original 1964 record player that I sent out to Florida last week with the original hand tag and instructions. Got 4 speeds. It works. It's been restored to work and has the Beatles put on there. And talked about the BC-13. I'll put a picture of this. I guess give me some of that stuff right there. I had 4 2012 remastered sealed. 2 of them are from Germany. I sold the Abbey Road already, the Revolver, and the White Album. This came when I bought a big collection of 10 of them, and 4 of them were 2014 mono, and then there was a red and blue from 2014. And I've sold all the monos, I think, except for this Beatles for Sale that I'm going to put up tomorrow. It's a pressing from Germany, and it's factory sealed. I prefer the stereo version of Beatles for Sale. I think it's a great album. It's done well in stereo. You can really hear John and Paul's harmonies. A No Reply, and I'm a Loser, Babies in Black. And John really shines through on his covers of rock and roll music. And Paul does on Kansas City. It's a great underrated album of the Beatles. If you've never listened to this in depth, you need to give it a listen. You can really hear the Beatles at their peak in the studio. This was my Meet the Beatles. It has a Beatles Are Coming sticker from the late 1963 when there were millions out there and the DJs and the Capitol promo guys were told to put these stickers on everything. So everybody knew the Beatles were coming. It's got a first pressing record with the no publishing rights on the record label. Side 1, it just says, I Want to Hold Your Hand by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. It doesn't say BMI or ASCAP. That was a mistake, and there was only the first probably 100,000 of them that were pressed before they corrected that, and then all the rest of them have BMI and ASCAP after the titles.
Daniel Castillo, what's up, bud? Says the recording sessions for the Beatles for sale was rushed.
Rushed? Yeah, maybe it was rushed, but the Beatles were at the peak as far as being able to record in the studio. That's what I think. I mean, that's why there's a lot of covers on it, because it was rushed. They were on tour and everything, and they toured almost the whole year. Still think it's a great album. Where was it? Where is it again? We're talking about the tracks. Here we go through the tracks. Beatles for Sale. You got side 1, No Reply, I'm a Loser. What a way to start off an album. Babies in Black, a real underrated song. Rock and Roll Music. Lennon it's like Twist and Shout. He's just giving it his all. I'll Follow the Sun, a song that Paul wrote when he's about 14. Mr. Moonlight, most Beatle freaks don't think it's a very good version, but I like it. John Lennon's really giving it his all. They only did 2 takes because he couldn't handle singing that any more than that. And Kansas City, Hey, Hey, Hey. Paul McCartney's another tribute besides I'm Down to Little Richard. They used to, they did Kansas City on the 64 tour. But they didn't perform that song live very much. But they did do Kansas City on the Shindig show from 65. They did I'm a Loser, Kansas City, and they let Ringo sing Boys. If you haven't seen the 3 songs from the Beatles on Shindig, you should check it out. And side 2, the great single in the United States, 8 Days a Week, Words of Love, a Buddy Holly song. Honey Don't. That's a Carl Perkins song that they let Ringo sing. Every Little Thing, I Love, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. I think that's a great John Lennon track. What You're Doing, and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. George doing another Carl Perkins song. I think it's a great album. It might be rushed, but I love it.
You didn't talk about the other ones.
These are just more Ringo albums I haven't put up yet. Ringo, Time Takes Time, Give Me Love, and Postcards from Paradise. Talked about the BC-13. I don't think I forgot to talk about these magazines last time. Talked about the 64 newsstand issue with the little flap. This was right at the beginning of the U.S. First tour of America in August 1964. A day later is when they played the Cincinnati Gardens, August 29th. We got these 2 Life magazines from 1968. This is the U.S. version, in beautiful shape. The Days in the Lives of the Beatles. That was by Hunter Davis, the first official biography that was released. And this is the Asian version, Asian edition of the magazine. And the photos are pretty similar, but they're set up just a little different. It's the same photo though. It just looks like a little different tint. That was from the famous Mad Day Out photo sessions that they did for several hours in one day. That's where that one came from, right up there.
Yeah, they can't see that one. I can show it. Let me show it to them. What's he talking about?
The Wind Blown, The Mad Day Out, black and white photo. The 1980s version of when re-released Beatles' Hard Day's Night to the movie theaters. John Lennon's got some creepy looking eyes there. Paul's like sneaking a little peek. George winking. And Ringo goes, "Oh my God, what are they going to do to me next?" The 1982 movie poster for the complete Beatles. Had several people interested in that. The Anthology 2 talked about the backbeat. And the Beatles Red and Blue when it was first released on CD in 1991. The Red and Blue, the Ultimate Compilations, never before released on CD. I didn't bring my other autographs today. Talked about the complete Beatles last time. This is a Plastic Ono band from 1969. John Lennon, Plastic Ono band live piece in Toronto, 1969. And when you talk about sweetening up a live recording, this is pretty much the way it was when they performed it. John Lennon, and he had, with it, Yoko was there, Eric Clapton was doing guitar, Klaus Voormann was on bass, and Alan White was on drums. Alan White from Yes. But they hadn't done these songs together, and on the jet plane on the way to the concert, they practiced the songs a couple times, and then they went to the show and performed them. And John Lennon said he was so nervous before he went on stage, he got sick. It's got the hype sticker for includes John and Yoko 1970 calendar, and you can see the wire spiral end of the calendar sealed inside the album. The rock and roll music, somebody asked about that once. The came out in, I thought it was 73. 76, when they re-released a song off of here that became a hit again. And I thought it was got to get you into my life. That Paul's little tribute to how he got pot into his life and helped. And then he did that for many, many years. And the flip side of that hit single was, got it in the top 10, was Helter Skelter. But these are pretty much all remixes by George Martin, where he brought the vocals more to the center. So it's a real good sounding 2 LP set of all the famous Twist and Shout, all the famous Beatles rock and roll songs. I've been talking about Denny Lane a lot. Wings of Wildlife, one of those underrated Wings albums, 1970. Thought this was 71. And then it might have been 72. Ram came out in 71. And then the great Band on the Run came out in 73. The 50th anniversary of Band on the Run's coming out here in February. The week that is the 60th anniversary of the Beatles coming to America. The fest for Beatle fans is going to be at the in New York. I thought it was at the special hotel at the airport. I guess it's the Kennedy Airport. It'll be a big thing. I know Joe Mayo is going to it, but I close enough to Chicago. I go to Chicago. That's in August. So I'll be there next August in Chicago. But that'll be past the 60th anniversary. I sold my Denny Lane All Lane album I still have my holidays where Paul and Denny are doing, and Linda are doing all the Buddy Holly songs. There's Denny Lane at Paul McCartney's Scotland farm, relaxing on one of the horses that Paul had. Holidays was produced by Paul McCartney, photographs by Linda McCartney. You can see on from the inner sleeve that Paul and Denny playing around there at the farm. They're both there on the fence right there. And that's the, it was called Rude Studios, that was inside his farm where they recorded the album. It's an underrated album like Beatles for Sale. This album here, or I'm talking about Wings Wildlife. This is a pretty good album too. It's a tribute to Buddy Holly. We wouldn't have had the Beatles if it wasn't for Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly and the Crickets. That's where the Beatles name came from. And I think about running out of things to talk about. I talked about the laser disc from last time.
Phone call.
The what?
Phone call. The guy's name is this from Mr. Sticker.
Do what?
A phone call with Mr. Sticker. The guy calling you, was it Chasm or whatever, and talked about.
Oh yeah. Here's a little story I forgot to talk about. This is a great little backstory. So Chad Casson did his Beatles collection video with that man that had his Beatles collection. They were going to put it up for sale through Chad Casson's vaults, where he sells old pressings. So he shows that Nimbus Supercut, and he said he had it. Chad Casson had it for 25 years sealed. So I sent a little message in the bottom of that video saying I was interested in it, because he said that he had already been offered $5,000 for it. So I offered him $5,500 in the little message. And I didn't get any reply, but then I also noticed that he showed a butcher cover that was only halfway peeled. So I sent another message on that same YouTube video saying that I would finish his butcher cover for him and give him $5,500 for the Nimbus Supercut. So I thought, well, nothing's ever going to become of this. 2 days later, I don't get up till I live on California time, so I don't get up to about 11 o'clock. 5 after 11, I'm hearing my answer machine. It rings and I just kind of ignore it. And all of a sudden, this guy, I could swear in my sleep, it was Chad Casson. He goes, is Mr. Sticker, does he live here? Mr. Sticker, pick up the phone. And he was calling me Mr. Sticker instead of STICKERMANIA. So I jumped out of bed. I didn't answer the phone in time. I called that caller ID number right back. And Chad Casson answered the phone. I couldn't believe it. And that's how I got a hold of the Nimbus Supercut. So that's my little backstory. How I got to talk to Chad Casson. And he wasn't going to sell it to me the first time. And then he called me back 2 days later and he said, Frank, I decided I'm going to let you have the Nimbus Supercut if you finish my butcher cover. And so we made a deal. So that's my little backstory on Chad Casson that I keep forgetting to talk about. Woke up out of dead sleep and I'm hearing this man, why is Chad Casson on my answer machine? And I figured it out. So I think that was pretty cool. All right, I think that's it from tonight on Louisville, Kentucky. I have the what?
I was just saying bye.
Oh, and we got some wingdings coming in hopefully Friday. Wingding sneakers from 1964, the Beatles wingdings. It's in the original box, size 8, and has the original tissue. It's in near perfect condition. I have a portrait cover, original 1964, the Beatles and Frank Ifield rare mono portrait cover coming in. And I know I have some other things, Rolling Stones and a couple Led Zeppelins. So Saturday, tune in again. I'll have a lot of new arrivals if the mail The mail system is a madhouse now. All the packages, I see my mailmen, they're all working 12 hours a day. They have hundreds and hundreds of parcels. And they're trying their best. So, see you later from Louisville, Kentucky. Thanks for joining in.